All right, you landed that interview for an electrician position. Congrats. Now it's time to prepare so you can really impress them.
Exactly. And that's what we are here to help you with.
We are going to deep dive into RoleCatcher's resources for electricians.
And by the end of this, you'll know exactly what those hiring managers are looking for, how to nail those interview questions, and how to show off your skills to land that job.
So, being an electrician, it's not just about circuits, right?
No, not at all. You need a mix of hands-on skills, but also problem solving.
Okay, so let's jump into some common interview questions from the interview guide, Electrician on RoleCatcher.
Sounds good. Let's start with describe your experience with electrical equipment and tools. A classic.
Oh, I bet that can be intimidating, especially if you're just starting out.
It can be, but honestly, even if you're a beginner, you don't need to be intimidated by this one.
So how should someone approach this if they don't have a lot of experience?
Just be honest and show your passion. Maybe you've wired a light fixture.
Or help someone out with a simple repair.
Right. Even tinkering with electronics as a hobby shows you're interested.
Okay, and how do we make that answer stand out?
Be specific. Instead of listing tools, describe how you use them. Did you ever check voltage with a multimeter?
Or maybe stripping and connecting wires for a project? Those real-world examples will make you more memorable. And it's also a chance to tie those experiences back to the job description.
Exactly. That's where RoleCatcher's AI is such a useful tool.
You can actually input the job description and practice your answer and see how well it matches up.
It's like having a personal coach that gives you feedback. If the description emphasizes safety, the AI might suggest adding details about safety protocols you followed while using those tools.
Makes sense. Okay, let's move on to another question.
Yeah.
Can you describe a time you had to troubleshoot an electrical problem? This one always comes up, right?
Oh, definitely. Interviewers love this question.
What are they really looking for?
They want to see your thought process when you encounter a problem on the job. It's not just about the solution, it's how you got there.
So tell the story, set the scene, describe the problem, and then walk them through each step you took to figure it out. Like, did you test the circuit?
Right. Did you check the wiring? Maybe you even had a false lead before finding the real issue.
And I imagine highlighting a safety mindset would be important here too.
Absolutely. Did you isolate the circuit before you started working on it? Did you double check your work afterward? Those details matter.
Safety is key in this profession. And again, RoleCatcher's AI can help you craft that perfect answer, like using the STAR method. Situation, task, action, result.
That's a great tip. Helps you present your experience clearly and concisely. Now, let's imagine a question tailored to a specific job you're applying for. Say, describe your experience with solar panel installations.
I feel like that's a growing area in the field, right?
Definitely a hot topic these days. And RoleCatcher's Career Guide actually highlights solar panel installation as a growth area.
So if you have any experience there, even just from a course or assisting on a project, that's valuable.
Definitely. Even if you haven't done a full installation, showing your interest in renewable energy and willingness to learn new tech is huge. You can mention any research you've done or courses you've taken.
Showcasing your enthusiasm can really set you apart. And you know what? RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze sample answers from other candidates who've interviewed for similar roles.
It's like a sneak peek into what impressed hiring managers and what didn't.
All right, next question. Let's talk teamwork. Can you describe a time when you had to work in a team to complete an electrical project?
Collaboration is crucial, right?
Oh, yeah. You're often working alongside other electricians, contractors, maybe even clients.
So think of a project that really required teamwork. A large installation, maybe a complex repair, even a tough rewiring job would work.
Walk them through your role, how you communicated with everyone, and how you handled any disagreements or challenges that popped up. Were you receptive to others' ideas? Did you offer solutions? Did you help a struggling teammate? You want to show them you're a skilled electrician, but also that you're a team player. RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you polish this answer.
How so?
It can help you identify keywords that emphasize teamwork, like collaboration, communication, and problem solving. Just by sprinkling those in, you can make a big difference.
It's all about those subtle tweaks. And it's okay to highlight challenges your team faced, as long as you focus on how you overcame them together.
Okay, let's switch gears and look at a question about industry standards. Imagine the interviewer asks, can you explain your experience with electrical inspections and testing?
This one's all about attention to detail, safety, and really understanding codes and regulations.
Right. Don't just list the tests. Describe an inspection you did. What tools did you use?
What specific checks did you make? Were there any issues?
And how did you document your findings?
You can really impress them by mentioning specific sections of the National Electrical Code, the NEC, or any local codes that were relevant.
Oh, and RoleCatcher has a library of resources on electrical codes and regulations right on their platform, so you can brush up on your knowledge before the interview. Perfect. All right, let's get into some technical questions. How about, can you explain your experience with PLCs and automation systems?
I feel like that's becoming more and more common in a lot of industries.
It is, as automation becomes more prevalent. So if you have any experience with programmable logic controllers, definitely showcase it here.
Even if it's just from a course or a personal project, walk them through what you know.
And if you don't have direct experience.
Be honest, but express that you're interested in learning. You could even mention how you stay updated on advancements in PLCs through online resources or publications. Show that commitment to learning.
Exactly. That's so important in this field. And good news, RoleCatcher has tons of resources on PLCs. Skill guides, sample interview questions. It's like a study guide for those technical skills employers want.
Amazing. Okay, another technical question you might get is, can you explain your experience with motor controls and drives? It's a pretty common one.
This is all about controlling the speed and torque of electric motors, which, well, they're everywhere.
Right. So if you've worked with variable frequency drives, motor starters, any type of motor control system really, describe that in detail. Talk about the types of motors you've worked with, the control methods, and any troubleshooting or maintenance you've done.
Don't forget to highlight safety procedures, like lockout, tagout procedures.
You always want to emphasize safety. And remember, you can use RoleCatcher to practice these technical answers too. Their AI can give you feedback on what to improve or highlight.
Awesome. So we've gone over a lot. We talked about your skills, your experience, your problem-solving skills, and your safety awareness. But let's not forget the big picture. Where does this job lead you in the long run?
That's such a good point. I think the career guide, Electrician on RoleCatcher, does a really good job of outlining those career stages. Entry level, intermediate, senior level. Each has its own responsibilities and opportunities.
Okay, so we're going to unpack those stages, those different career paths in our next deep dive.
It will give you an idea of how you can grow your career in this field and how RoleCatcher can be with you every step of the way.
All right, we'll see you in part 2.
See you there. Welcome back. Let's get into those career stages we talked about, starting with entry level.
Okay, so at this stage, you're kind of like an apprentice, right? You're learning, building those skills. What does RoleCatcher's guide say about typical tasks at this level?
Well, they mentioned things like installing basic wiring systems, assisting more senior electricians.
And of course, becoming really familiar with those safety procedures. Can't emphasize that enough.
It's really the foundation. You're building up a solid base of technical skills and learning to apply those skills safely in real-world situations.
Okay, and as you gain experience, you move into the intermediate stage. I imagine that's where things start to get more interesting.
Absolutely. More responsibility. You might lead small teams, take on bigger projects, and maybe even start to specialize.
Ooh, specializing. Like what kind of specializations does the guide mention?
Well, it talks about things like residential wiring, commercial installations, even industrial automation. You could really become a sought-after expert in a specific area.
That's cool. It's like choosing your own adventure within the electrical world. All right, and then finally, you reach the senior level. That's like the top of the mountain, right?
Yeah, you're the go-to person. You oversee those large projects, you mentor junior electricians. Maybe you even think about starting your own business.
The guide mentions leadership, project management, even some business skills at this level. It's not just technical anymore.
Right, it's about leading and inspiring others. And that actually brings us to a really important point, continuous learning.
Oh, you're always learning in this field, aren't you? Well, with new technologies and all.
Definitely. To stay on top of your game, you've got to be a lifelong learner. The guide emphasizes workshops, getting certifications, staying up to date on trends.
And this is where I think RoleCatcher's AI Career Compass can be super helpful. Can you tell us a bit about that tool?
Yeah. It's awesome. It analyzes your skills and interests and suggests relevant courses or certifications. It even recommends career paths based on your goals, like a roadmap for your professional development.
That's so cool. Takes the guesswork out of figuring out what to focus on. Okay, let's get back to some of those interview questions. I know one that always trips people up is, what are your salary expectations?
Yes, the dreaded salary question.
It can feel awkward. Any advice on how to handle it?
Definitely be prepared. Before the interview, do some research on the average salary for electricians in your area with similar experience levels. Websites like Glassdoor and Salary.com are really good resources.
Don't be afraid to negotiate a bit, especially if you have special skills or certifications that make you stand out. Know your worth.
Exactly. But also be realistic. Maybe frame your answer as a range based on your research. Like, based on my skills, I'm targeting a salary between X and Y.
Shows you've done your homework. And guess what? RoleCatcher can help with this too. They have a salary insights tool. It breaks down average salaries for different electrician roles by location, experience level, even specific skills. That's awesome.
I love that. No more guessing games. You have real data to support what you're asking for.
Okay, while we're on the topic of career stuff, we got to touch on certifications. The guide mentions a bunch of them that can really help with job prospects.
Oh, yeah. Certifications are huge. They can boost your credibility and often mean higher earning potential. Things like the journeyman electrician or master electrician, or even those specialized ones in areas like solar or industrial automation.
So how do you work those certifications into an interview?
You can weave them into your answers really naturally. Like if you're asked about your long-term goals, you could talk about wanting to get a master electrician certification to open up new opportunities.
Shows ambition and a desire to learn. Okay, here's another question that pops up all the time. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's the best way to answer that?
Well, you don't need to have it all perfectly figured out, but having a general idea of your direction is helpful. What skills do you want to develop? Where do you see yourself specializing? What level of responsibility are you aiming for?
Are you hoping to lead big projects someday? Mentor new electricians? Maybe even run your own business? It's good to have those aspirations in mind.
Absolutely. And during the interview, you can connect those aspirations with what the company offers. For example, if they specialize in renewable energy and you're passionate about that, you could mention how you'd love to be a lead installer on solar projects.
That shows you're really thinking about how your goals fit with their company's vision.
And it leaves a much stronger impression than just saying you want any old job.
Hmm.
All right, so we've covered a lot. Career stages, continuous learning, salary, certifications, even your long-term goals. But before we wrap this deep dive up, let's switch gears one last time. Let's talk about some final tips to help you absolutely crush that interview.
Ooh, yes. I love a good pep talk. And you know what would be super helpful? To hear about some electricians who have actually used RoleCatcher to prepare and landed awesome jobs because of it.
That's a great idea. Real-world examples. It can be so motivating. So let's dive into some success stories and get those final bits of wisdom.
Sounds like a plan. We'll see you in part 3. Okay, we're back for the final part of our electrician interview deep dive. We've talked about specific interview questions, career goals, and all that good stuff. But before you head into that interview, let's talk about those inspiring success stories and some final tips to really make you stand out.
You know, I've seen how RoleCatcher can make a real difference for candidates. I worked with one candidate who was super passionate about renewable energy. They had taken a bunch of courses on solar panel installations.
Sounds like they're off to a great start already.
Yeah, they were really proactive. And they used RoleCatcher's AI CV builder to make sure their resume was perfect for a company that specialized in solar. They really highlighted their skills and experience in that area.
How did it go?
They aced the interview, got the job. They were so enthusiastic and knowledgeable, it really impressed the hiring manager.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It shows you don't always need years of experience, that passion and commitment to learning can go a long way.
Totally. And I have another good one. This candidate had more experience, but they had trouble explaining their problem-solving skills in interviews. You know, they knew what they were doing, but they just couldn't articulate it well.
Oh, I bet that's frustrating.
It was. So they used RoleCatcher's AI feedback tool to practice answering those tricky behavioral questions. It helped them structure their answers, give concrete examples, really showcase that critical thinking.
So they turned a weakness into a strength.
Exactly. And they ended up landing a great position at a top electrical contracting firm.
Love that. Okay, let's move on to those final tips. Something I always look for is genuine enthusiasm for the company and the role. You can tell when someone's just going through the motions.
Right. It makes a huge difference. Do your research beforehand. Spend time on the company's website. Get to know their projects. Maybe check out their social media. Get a feel for their culture.
Those insights can help you tailor your answers. And speaking of that, don't forget to ask questions yourself during the interview.
Oh, absolutely. Asking questions shows that you're engaged and that you're thinking beyond just getting the job. Ask about the company's current work, their challenges, their future plans.
Anything that shows you're interested. And here's a simple but important tip. Always follow up with a thank you note.
It's such a small thing, but it can make a big impact. It's professional, it's polite, and it gives you one last chance to reiterate your strengths.
Okay, any final words of wisdom for someone heading into an electrician interview?
Remember, preparation is key. Research the company, know the role, practice your answers, and use those fantastic resources RoleCatcher offers. Let them see your technical skills, your problem-solving abilities, and most importantly, your passion for this field.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We've given you a ton of information, but now it's up to you to put it into practice. Go out there and ace that interview.
Good luck. We're cheering you on.